Hi there. Today I want to teach you how to build real, lasting, generational wealth. Sound good? That's why you're here, right? That's why you clicked on the video. Of course it is. But before I show you how to do that, there's actually a problem we have to address first. And it's this. I don't know if you've ever noticed this or not, but a lot of people who end up getting really rich also end up really miserable. So before I show you how to get really wealthy, I want to first explain why a lot of people are destroyed by their wealth, so that I can then, more importantly, show you how to avoid their mistakes and build massive wealth for yourself that you'll actually enjoy in the end. Sound good? Because it's not about having wealth that's the problem. It's when wealth has you that there's a problem. So I'm going to talk about that first, but make sure you stick around to the end because I'm going to give you the wealth generation formula that is guaranteed to expedite your financial trajectory. And hey, real quick, before we jump into any of that, make sure you hit both the like and the subscribe buttons right now, mostly so that you don't miss future content like this yourself, but also it's just a small thing you can do to help me grow this channel and get these videos out to more and more people. I would really appreciate your help with that. All right, here's what you need to know. I believe there is one thing that separates wealthy people who are satisfied from wealthy people who are empty. And it's not actually as hard to identify and pursue as you might think that it is. John D. Rockefeller, one of the richest men in history, he was once asked, how much money is enough? And you know what he famously said? Just a little bit more. I remember Tom Brady years ago after winning his third Super Bowl ring. He said, why do I have 3 rings and still feel like there's something greater out there for me? It's got to be more than this. Howard Hughes, he died a billionaire, but he lived his final years as a reclusive, paranoid addict. And there was a guy named Jack Whitaker who won $315 million in the lottery. And he later said, I wish I'd torn up that ticket. It ruined my life. See, that's what I'm talking about. And if you're anything like me, you hear stories like that and they cause you to wonder a couple different things. Like, first of all, what went wrong for them? But second, I'm like, I think I'd like to give that degree of wealth a try myself and see if I have a better go at it than they did, right? That's probably you as well. But the fact remains that many of the most wealthy and successful people in our day are not always the most satisfied and happy people of our day. Why is that? Well, here's what I believe they're missing. They're just chasing money instead of chasing true wealth. In other words, here's what's going to change everything for you. True wealth isn't simply defined as having lots of money. Here's the definition of true wealth. Wealth is the value you create for someone other than yourself. And money is just one form of proof that you're valuable. It's a certificate of sorts showing that you've created value for another person. Think about it. If you're stranded on a desert island with $1 million in cash, what is that cash worth? Nothing, right? It's just paper. But if you're the one guy on the island that has access to fresh drinking water, all of a sudden your water becomes your wealth. Your value to other people on that island is what makes you wealthy. See, I'm telling you, understanding this changes everything about building wealth, because now wealth isn't limited by your background or your education or where you started off in life. It's only limited by your ability to create value for other people. And when you start creating value for other people, I'm telling you, they will pay you. First, they'll pay you with their attention, but eventually they'll pay you with their money. But here's the key. The wealth you build this way isn't just about the money. Money is simply the fruit of serving people well and living out your God-given purpose to make a positive impact in the world. That's why it brings a deeper level of satisfaction and contentment. You're not just chasing wealth for yourself. You're using it to create a better life for the people around you. Okay, so if wealth is about creating value for others, then here's the $1 million question. I get asked this all the time. How do you know what people consider to be valuable enough to pay for? And the answer to that is where most people get it completely wrong. But once you understand the psychology behind what people actually place value on, you'll be able to predict what they will pay for even before they realize it themselves. And the reality is there are only 3 sources that determine what humans find valuable in the world. Here's the first one. Past lack creates present longing. In other words, your sense of lack in the past is what is driving what you long for today. If you grew up poor without enough food or adequate shelter, then it's highly likely that you long for that kind of security today. If you grew up out of shape with your body hurting all the time, then you probably long for fitness today. If you grew up without meaningful relationships with your parents or siblings, then you probably long for close relationships with family today. See, your past lack is a huge determiner of what you place value on today. But the past isn't the only thing driving what people value. The second source is what's happening right now in their lives. Present battles shape present beliefs. The battles you're facing right now, they're shaping what you believe to be valuable. So if you're competing in something like in business or sports or whatever else, it's causing you to believe that everything that helps you win at that thing is worth investing in. When you're actively engaged in a struggle or a competition, your entire value system shifts toward whatever gives you an advantage in that specific fight. And the intensity of the battle determines how much you're willing to spend. And the harder the fight, the more valuable the solution becomes to you. You see? But here's the most powerful source of all that influences what humans believe to be valuable. And this is where you can really start to position your own value creation strategically. I guarantee it will lead you to true wealth generation. Here it is. Future dreams inspire present disciplines. This is the most powerful one. When you have a clear dream of something that you want in the future, I'm telling you, you will develop disciplines today that serve that dream, right? You'll sacrifice short-term pleasure for long-term gain. And this, again, is where this gets really practical for building wealth, because sacrifice is the key. Wealthy people give up what they want now in order to get what they want more. That's what Dave Ramsey always says. You live like no one else now, meaning you sacrifice, in order to live like no one else later when you're wealthy. That's true. People who build wealth trade temporary pleasure for permanent progress. But here's what most entrepreneurs and business owners get wrong when they're trying to build wealth. They think all value creation is the same, but it's not. Some value creation keeps you broke, while other value creation is going to make you wealthy. And the difference comes down to how many people value what you're creating and how highly do they value it. All right, did you hear what I just said? Because understanding this is a game changer for how you should approach your business model. Here's what I mean. All no's are created equal, but all yeses are not created equal. Do you understand? Think about that. You create an offer that's valuable, some product or service that you're going to provide, and you take it out to the market believing that it's going to help others. Well, a no from someone who cannot afford your offer feels exactly the same as a no from someone who can afford it but does not want it. Both of those no's are going to sting the same way. But here's where it gets interesting. A yes from someone who has both the desire and the ability to buy is completely different from a yes from someone who wants it but cannot afford it. You see, one will obviously build your wealth, but the other is just going to waste your time. And this insight can change your entire strategy of doing business. Instead of chasing after people who actually don't want what you offer, or maybe they want it but they can't afford it, you should become findable to the thousands of people who already want what you create because they already understand the value of what you're offering. The only reason they're not buying is because they don't know who you are yet. They don't even know you exist, probably. In other words, your business shouldn't be designed around trying to create demand for your value. It should be designed around connecting with the existing demand that is already there. And here's why this framework works so powerfully, because it's actually rooted in something far deeper than simple business tactics. Have you ever realized that wealth is actually a spiritual result? It is. Think about it. When your focus shifts from solving problems only for yourself to solving problems for other people, you're engaging in spiritual activity. That's woven into the creation mandate itself, to be fruitful, to multiply, to fill the earth, to subdue it, and to exercise dominion over it, right? So when you use your God-given creativity and communication skills to contribute toward making the world better, you're actually living out the very purpose for which you were created in God's image. See, that's why true wealth isn't just about acquiring money. It flows out of creating value for other people. And when you see it that way, wealth is not just economic activity, it's spiritual activity. This is exactly why the 4 levels of value framework that we talked about in my last video work so well. Because they move you from simply focusing on physical resources to spiritual resources. From limited thinking to unlimited thinking. In fact, if you haven't seen that video yet, I'd really encourage you to check it out after this one so that you can level up your value from only being an implementer in your work to integration, influence, and innovation. But here's the point. As you level up your value and increasingly become the most valuable person in the room, I'm telling you, the money will follow your value. But the wealth that you'll generate won't just be about accumulation. It will be the result of making a greater and greater impact in the world, in individual people's lives. That's when you're truly wealthy, not when you simply have acquired a lot, but when you've impacted the world through creation, communication, and contribution. And I assure you, those are the kind of people that get paid. And listen, if you're ready right now to start seeing your current job as the training ground for leveling up your value creation, rather than just viewing it as some sort of a month-to-month paycheck generator, then I want to help you take some intentional steps in that direction, okay? Just drop down to the comments and type the words "level up" right there in the comment thread, and I'll send you my free Work as Worship devotional guide. It's a 30-day journey that I wrote myself to help you discover how to create lasting value and pursue your life's purpose right now while you simultaneously build towards something hopefully better tomorrow. But here's the bottom line. Stop chasing money and start creating value. The money will follow the value every single time, I promise. But if you want to be satisfied and fulfilled when you get the money, you're going to have to generate it by serving others and impacting the world around you, not just serving yourself. And if you want to watch that video I mentioned earlier on how to level up your own personal value creation, click right here to see that one next.